The year 1866. A ship carries gold across the Southern Ocean. Then, fog. Cliffs. A cave. The ship disappears inside the rock. 260 people on board. Only 15 survive. 18 months stranded. And the gold? Nobody has found it to this day. This is the story of the General Grant and your English practice. Let's begin. It was April 1866. The General Grant was a three-masted sailing ship. Built in 1864 in Maine, America. She was not a fast ship, not a glamorous ship, but she was dependable. A reliable cargo vessel built for long ocean voyages. Her captain was William Laughlin, an experienced sailor. He had a financial stake in the ship. Her success was his success. Her failure would be his failure too. The General Grant had left Melbourne, Australia. She was heading to London, England. On board were 58 passengers. Many were gold miners, men who had spent years in Australia searching for gold. Now, they were finally going home. And many of them were carrying their fortunes. Gold dust, gold nuggets, gold coins, gold bars. The miners did not trust banks. They carried their wealth themselves. One miner, named James Tier, had sewn 300 gold guineas into a special belt. He wore it around his waist every hour of every day. The official cargo also included over 2,500 ounces of gold bars, under the captain's personal protection, plus 9 tons of what was listed as zinc. But later, rumors suggested this zinc might actually have been gold ore in disguise. The total value of gold on the General Grant was extraordinary. And all of it was about to disappear into the darkness of a sea cave. The General Grant sailed south from Melbourne. Her route took her below New Zealand, through some of the most dangerous waters on Earth. 10 days into the voyage, trouble began. Thick fog rolled in from the sea. Navigation became nearly impossible. The officers could not see the sun. They could not see the stars. They could not determine their exact position. Captain Laughlin ordered extra lookouts. Men stood at the front of the ship, watching, listening, straining their eyes into the gray.
Then, on the night of May 13th, the fog briefly cleared. And there, directly ahead, was land. The Auckland Islands, a remote archipelago feared by every sailor. Laughlin ordered the ship to turn north, but he made a critical mistake. He misidentified the land he was looking at. He thought it was one island. It was actually another. His course change sent the General Grant directly toward the vertical cliffs of the Auckland Islands' northwest shore. Then, the wind died completely. No wind means no steering. A strong current grabbed the ship, and pulled her toward the cliffs. The water was too deep to anchor. The ship was no longer in human control.
Shortly after midnight, the General Grant hit the cliffs. The impact shattered the rudder. Then, something impossible happened. The cliffs opened. A massive sea cave yawned in the rock face. The current sucked the ship inside. Inside the cave, everything became chaos. The foretop mast struck the cave ceiling. It collapsed. Rock fragments rained down on the deck. Terrified passengers scrambled for cover. The ship was pushed deeper into the darkness. The mast jammed against the cave roof again. And this time, it was driven downward, directly through the hull.
Water began flooding in. Lachlan ordered the lifeboats prepared. But panic made everything difficult. Many passengers were too frightened to move. Others could not find their way in the darkness. The first small boat got out. 3 men rowed beyond the cave mouth and dropped anchor. Then the second boat was lowered. Women and children were urged to board. But doing so meant jumping into freezing water. For mothers holding babies, it was unthinkable. One brave woman, Mary Ann Jewell, helped by her husband, jumped into the freezing sea to inspire the others. But for the mothers clutching their infants, the jump was impossible. They stayed, betting their lives that the longboat floating on deck would save them. It didn't. When the General Grant finally sank, the longboat was swept sideways by a massive wave. It capsized. 40 people thrown into the freezing water. Their screams echoed through the cave. Only 15 people survived. 9 crew and 6 passengers, including Mary Ann Jewell, the only woman to survive.
The 15 survivors rowed toward the nearest land, Disappointment Island, a bleak, wind-swept rock 6 miles away. 12 punishing hours of rowing. They arrived exhausted and desperate. The island offered almost nothing. No shelter, barely any fresh water. Their provisions were almost gone. After 2 days of suffering in the open wind, the weather eased enough to row further. They made it to the main Auckland Island, to a bay called Port Ross.
Their first priority? Fire. They had 6 matches. One by one, 5 matches failed. Everything now depended on one single match. James Tier, the miner who had emerged as their leader, pressed the last match against his body to keep it dry. His hands shook as he prepared to strike it. The match caught. A tiny flame appeared. Relief swept through all 15 survivors. That fire was never allowed to die. For 18 months. It was their warmth, their cooking, their signal to the outside world.
The Auckland Islands are brutally cold. Sub-Antarctic winter was coming. No rescue ships would pass for months. The survivors had to learn quickly. Seals became their lifeline. Meat for food, hides for clothing and blankets, fat for lamp oil.
Tier proved invaluable. Nothing went to waste. Every piece of metal from the wreck was collected. Every scrap had potential. They explored the surrounding islands, found tools left by previous castaways, built better shelters, discovered how to smoke meat for preservation. Marianne Jewell worked as hard as any man. When her clothing fell apart completely, she foraged constantly to keep the signal fire burning through the dark nights. They spotted a ship on the horizon once. Hearts soared. They lit their biggest signal fire. The ship sailed past without stopping. From then on, they maintained a constant watch. Someone always watching the horizon, day and night. Tyr's determination never broke. He constructed makeshift canoes. He tied messages to albatross birds. He sealed notes inside inflated seal bladders and released them into the current. None of these reached anyone. But he never stopped trying.
8 months after the wreck, 4 men decided they could not wait any longer. Bart Brown, Andrew Morrison, William Scott, Peter McNee. They set out in a small open boat for New Zealand, nearly 300 miles across one of the roughest oceans on Earth. No compass, no charts, no navigation instruments. They were never seen again. For those who stayed behind, time continued its slow torture. Another autumn, another winter. Their numbers dropped to 10 when 62-year-old David McLaren died of illness.
Then one survivor, a man named Collie, told the others about a dream. In the dream, his mother whispered to him, "My son, you shall leave this island in January. A ship will come during your cooking week." The others tried not to believe it. Hope was dangerous on this island. Hope could break a person. But January came. On November 19th, 1867, 18 months after the wreck, they spotted a sailing vessel. The Fanny.
Their signals went unnoticed. 2 days later, on November 21st, another ship appeared, the whaling brig Amherst. This time, the ship came close to shore. The survivors rowed with everything they had left. The captain of the Amherst, seeing the ragged figures approaching, was initially suspicious. He feared mutineers. But when the survivors explained their story, he welcomed them aboard, fed them, warmed them, cared for them. After 18 months on Auckland Island, they were finally going home. The story of the General Grant did not end with the rescue. It continued for over a century. Somewhere inside that sea cave, a fortune in gold was waiting. The first search expedition sailed in 1869. James Tyr himself guided them, but violent storms drove the ship back, empty-handed.
Another survivor, David Ashworth, tried in 1870. He sailed to the exact cliffs where the ship had vanished. He took a small boat to inspect the cave. He was never seen again. Some whispered that Ashworth was the last man who knew exactly where the gold was hidden, and that he took that secret with him.
9 expeditions tried to find the General Grant. All failed. In 1907, one searching ship crashed on the same cliffs, killing 12 men. By 1960, so many lives had been lost chasing the legend that New Zealand authorities banned all further attempts. The gold, if it exists, remains locked inside that cave. more than 2,500 ounces. At today's prices, worth millions. Still waiting. In the darkness. Beneath the Southern Ocean. Now let's review 5 important words from this story. Number 1. Dependable. Reliable. You can trust it to work well. The General Grant was not fast, but she was dependable. Number 2. Capsize. When a boat turns upside down in water. The longboat capsized and 40 people fell into the sea. Number 3. Priority. The most important thing to do first. Their first priority was to make fire. Number 4. Invaluable. Extremely useful, more valuable than you can measure. Tyr proved invaluable to the group's survival. Number 5. Legend. A famous old story that may or may not be completely true. The gold of the General Grant became a legend.
And that is the story of the General Grant, a ship swallowed by a cave, 15 survivors, 18 months, and a fortune in gold that has never been found. Do you think the gold is still there? Would you search for it? Tell me in the comments. If this video helped your English, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We have many more incredible survival stories coming. Thanks for watching and keep learning. See you next Tuesday.